Okay, hello and welcome to this roundup of all the actions to take place in the Cheshire Football League this weekend. We have action all the way down from the Premier Division to Reserve Division 2. We have two games this weekend featuring our clubs in the Cheshire County Football Association Amateur Cup 4th round. First is Linotype Heath Nomads against AFC Macclesfield. Lino are 7th in the Prem at the moment and have just come off the back of a 2-1 loss to Denton Town at home. AFC Mac sit in League 1. The second game features Poynton and Knutsford, both sides in the Premier Division. Poynton in 5th and Knutsford in 3rd. Poynton definitely the informed team coming into this game. They have a number of games in hand, 5 I believe, over Bridge at the top, and only sit about 10 points behind. So they're really putting forward a lot of pressure on the leaders, and this game will give them an extra game in hand, which will really give them a chance to pull back in the league. Greenhalghs are in the Guardian Cup this weekend as they take on Blackbrook away from home. Crewe and Congleton Vale play each other in the league. Crewe sit in 8th. Their last game was a 7-0 win about a month ago against Winnington Avenue. Congleton Vale sit in 6th. They beat Rudheath Social 3-2 over Christmas. Denton Town take on Malpass. Denton sit in 9th, Malpass in 11th. Denton's last game, as previously mentioned, was a 2-1 win away at Cheadle Nomads. And Malpass, well, they played more than any other side this season, 18. A few other sides have played 18, but that is the most amount of games any team in the league has played this season. Gars would play Whaley Bridge in a battle between the top team in the league and the bottom team in the league. Whaley Bridge sit top of the league, 3 points ahead of Wivenshaw, and are yet to draw this season, having won 13 and lost 4. Garswood are bottom of the league. They've lost 14 out of their 18 fixtures this season. It does seem like it's going to be a one-sided affair, but you never know. It's the Cheshire Football League, and a lot of surprise results do come up every so often. Rudheath play Rylands. Rudheath sit in 13th, Rylands in 10th. Rudheath lost 3-1 to Poynton last weekend in their game on New Year's Eve. Rylands won 3-1 at home to Malpass before Christmas, but haven't played since. Style play Altrincham Reserves in the league. Style sit in 15th, Altrincham in 4th. Style have 11 points and Altrincham have 31, meaning that there is a considerable gap between the two sides. Altrincham sit 3 wins, or within 3 wins, from the leaders Whaley Bridge. Wivenshaw play Eagle Sports in the last Premier Division game of the week. Wivenshaw in 2nd, just a win off the top, and Eagle Sports are in 14th, only a win clear of Garswood at the bottom. Should results go a certain way, and you could see Whaley and Wivenshaw swap, and Garswood and Eagle swap. In League 1 there are also a number of fixtures this weekend, a full round of fixtures except for maybe 1 or 2. First game is Edgerton against Middlewich. Edgerton sit in 12th, Middlewich in 11th. Edgerton in their last game lost 6-1 to Billinge. Middlewich in their last game drew 5-all in a very entertaining game. Goulburn and Denton play each other. They're 9th and 10th currently. Goulburn beat Halebank 4-1 last weekend. Denton's last game would have been at home to Grafton on New Year's Eve had it have not been called off. So the opponents of the last game in their last matches play each other this week as Halebank take on Grafton. It's 13th against 16th. Grafton are stone dead bottom of the league, but are only 2 points off the teams ahead, so a few favourable results and they could see themselves move off the bottom this weekend. Mersey Valley play Pilkington. Pilkington sit in 3rd, Mersey Valley in 7th. There are only 5 points that separate the sides. The last game for both sides was against each other. It saw a 3-2 win for Pilkington. Tarpley Victoria play Shieldown Reserves in a game that sees 14th take on 15th. If this game is a draw and Grafton manage to win, there is a good chance that they move themselves off the bottom, or a Grappenhall win would really help, would really move them forward if either team loses, if either of the two teams in this match loses their game. It's been a poor season for both sides, Tarpley and Cheadle Reserves. So these are going to be two sides trying to rebuild their form in 2017. And the final game sees Warrington Town Reserves take on Lostock Grail. Warrington Town's last game was a 4-3 win over Lostock Grail, so it should be a pretty entertaining affair, this one. Plenty of goals, as both sides tend to score quite a lot. I'll pass over to my colleague Rob now, who will take you through League 2 and the reserve divisions.
So this weekend we're back to full action for the majority of clubs. And in League 2 we have the following fixtures. Broadheath are playing Moor, that's 59th. And Broadheath are looking to pick up some ground on their fellow title-chasing teams. Diva have the same number of games, but everybody else above them Broadheath have games in hand. Their last game was actually 4-1 to Broadheath. And that was the first game of the season back on the 13th of August. Diva, who are top, are taking on Cuddington, who are 7th. Diva won 3-1 back in October and are looking to consolidate their position at the top of the table, with Broadheath chasing them in the not too far behind. Ford Motors take on Barnton Reserves. That's 4th v 12th. They've not played a game yet, and the quirk of the fixtures is that they haven't played each other at all yet. So this first game for both of them, first time they've ever played in this competition, and that's 4th v 12th. Winstanley against Unicorn is another game that's not as yet, they've not played each other as yet. That's 8th v 3rd. Unicorn, with having played a couple more games than everybody else, but looking again to consolidate into one of the top 2 promotion positions. Main Road play Windle, and that's 10th v 2nd. Windle, again, they've played a game more than Diva and Broadheath, but again looking strong in that promotion chase. Main Road languishing, but they always have a young squad, and they're always looking to develop players for their first team. In the previous game back in August, that was 3-2 to Windle. The quarter-final of the the League 1, League 2 Division Challenge Cup sees FC St Helens take on Orford. So we've got 5th in League 1 taking on 6th in League 2. The winners of that game will go through to play Warrington Town Reserves in the semi-final. That'll be away at Cantilever Park in Warrington. So in Reserve Division 1, we see Billinge take on Greenhalgh's Padgate St Oswald. That's 11th v 2nd. Greenhalgh's, a couple of games in hand, looking strong, looking to have a push at the title. That was 2-1 to Billinge back in September, so it should be an interesting game, bearing in mind the current league positions of those teams. Denton take on Style. They actually only played each other as recently as the beginning of December, when Style ran out 3-1 winners, and that's 10th v 9th, so a bottom of the table clash there in Reserve 1. We have Eagle against Denton, which is 3rd v 8th. This is actually their first game of the season, was Denton 2, Eagle 1, and they've also played each other in the Reserve Division Challenge Cup. So with Denton beating Eagle in that game too. So the forms with Denton, but the positions with Eagle 3rd v 8th. Knutsford against Poynton, that's 4th v 5th, as you heard in James's video earlier. Knutsford are playing Poynton, or Poynton are playing Knutsford in the quarter-final of the Cheshire Amateur Cup. But the reserves play each other, and this is the first time they play, considering they're relatively close. Knutsford are playing Poynton for the first time this season. Rylands Garswood, 7th v 6th. They played each other back at the beginning of September, and that game was a 3-3 draw. So both teams looking to push up the table a little from their mid-table positions currently. Into Reserve 2, we see Pilkinson's playing Mersey Valley. That's 4th against 1st. Mersey Valley sat on top of the pile, have been for a couple of weeks. They played each other back at the beginning of September, and that was 3-2 to Mersey Valley. Can they take the 3 points and consolidate that position even more tomorrow? Middlewich are playing Moor. Again, that's a 7th v 6th game. It was 4-2 to Middlewich back at the beginning of September. Moor, bit of an improvement recently, and looking maybe to, obviously as the position says, they're ahead of Middlewich, and maybe they can push on for one of those promotion positions. Middlewich be looking to do the same as well. In the Cup quarter-final, we have AFC Macclesfield who are playing FC St Helens. That's actually 3rd v 2nd from the league positions. But in the quarter-final of the Cup, AFC Macclesfield won last week against Knutsford to get through. Sorry, FC St Helens. Keep it in there, James. FC St Helens beat Knutsford last week 2-0 in the previous round of the Cup, and they've qualified for the quarter-final. They'll play AFC Macclesfield. This season so far, AFC Macclesfield have won the league meetings 2-1 and 4-2. So in terms of the form, definitely with AFC Macclesfield, but the position and the run in the Cup is with FC St Helens. We'll look forward to seeing the results of that and who progresses through to the semi-final.